I'd like to ask, the playwright Katori Hall really presented us with a different image of King. And why do you think she was choosing now, here and now, to be writing this particular type of play where King is presented as a man, not the myth that we've come to know him as?
I was blessed to have a chance to be present for a couple of the rehearsals and to read the play. And my take on it is similar to how I think many of us wonder as January approaches how best to celebrate or recognize Martin Luther King Day, for example. And I think that part of what the playwright is doing here is encouraging us to see Dr. King as a human being, and I think in doing that we more deeply respect the choices that he made in terms of the public role that he played. And that was my impression of what she was attempting to do, which I thought she did very well.
Sure. I have written a lot about white people racism in Maine for the past couple of years, and I find the interesting. I've been trying to figure out why. I'm from Cornish, which is an hour northwest of here. And 5 minutes off of the peninsula, things get interesting. And then an hour off of the peninsula, things get especially interesting. And it's sort of, there's the different, it's rural. And I've been trying to figure out sort of why white people in particular in this state get so defensive when presented with the existing reality of racism. And one of the things that I've run into is just realizing that a lot of people who are white have a hard time realizing that they are not entirely infallible after sort of a very long time of building a myth in which that is the case. And watching the narrative of this play, which Dr. King is sort of being confronted with both mortality and sort of the limitations of man, created a really interesting narrative that confronts that in an entirely different way. So I don't know if that is what the playwright was getting at, but it's definitely something that I noticed that there are these complicated questions and discussions we have that a lot of people aren't even capable of entering because it would require acknowledging fallibility, and that's where I think a lot of conversations sort of break down. So just watching this, in which we are presented with our own complications and have to face those before quite literally transcending and figuratively transcending was fascinating for me.
I'm a product of the civil rights movement, and I feel what a lot of people were doing, black, white, and multicultural, from all parts of the economy were doing as they took buses to the South and as they demonstrated in the North, because I was raised in Pennsylvania, they were fighting to make my opportunities bigger and more open. And I think the one thing I want to make sure I say tonight that this play reminds me about is the responsibility to make choices about what your community is going to be. And I hope that's part of what touches everybody when they see this performance, that in the humanizing of Dr. King in this script, she really reinforces that he was aware of the role that he was taking on. He was accepting of his personal conversation with God, and he made choices. He had to choose between his family, between his career as the son of a very popular preacher, a very large congregation. He made choices that were about impacting what life was going to be in this country. And I would hope when I'm confronted in making a choice, to at least 9 out of 10 times make the right choice. So
I hope that all of you will let young people in your lives know about this production, because I do think the ending especially sends a message, and I hope that you'll all consider how you can move forward and pass that baton on. Thank you so much. Up, one more thing.
I need to say what that sparked for me is my daughter is here, 30-something. My son, 20-something, is here. And my grandson is here, 13. And I point that out because for us to sing this performance tonight as a family, I know will lead to a lot of conversations. And I hope that you'll encourage others to come so that we can have that community conversation. I very much appreciated your comments around the surprise of that part of the script, and love to chat with you more about that. And so it will spark conversations that we ought to have.